Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be sharing my recipe for crunchy mitai. Now this recipe is very simple, it only requires a few ingredients, and I thought it was perfect to go ahead and share this recipe as we are all quarantined at home. I know this quarantine time has been tough for a lot of people, but I think it is a great time to get more connected with a lot of the traditional foods that we grew up eating. So in today's video, I'm going to be sharing this crunchy mitai recipe, and I hope you guys enjoy. Now, if you don't have certain ingredients, there are some that you can omit, and as we go through the video, I'll let you know. So this way you don't have to go out to the store as of this time to buy any of them. So let's get into the recipe. So the first thing we're going to do is, in a bowl, I have some all-purpose flour, and to that we're going to add all of the dry spices. So in my little plate here, I have some dried cardamom, I have some anise seeds that have been ground, some ground ginger, some ground nutmeg, as well as some ground cinnamon. Now you can use absolutely any combination of spices that you want. These are just the spices that I had on hand and I thought would work really well in this dish. So once you've added in all of your spices into the bowl and gotten it mixed really well, you're going to go ahead and add in some unsalted butter. Now you want to make sure the butter is nice and cold and cut up into little cubes like this, so this way it can incorporate properly into the dough and it could create a nice crispy and crunchy mitai. You do not want this to be warm butter or melted butter at all, or else it's not going to make the mitais nice and crispy. Now once you've gotten all of that butter mixed in properly within the flour and it's gotten a nice crumbly texture, you're going to go in with some sugar. Now as you can see, I am going in with a granulated sugar. This is actually an organic cane sugar that I'm using. You could go ahead and use that or white sugar. I don't recommend using any type of brown sugar because it doesn't come out as crispy. It actually makes the mitai a little chewy. So once you finish mixing that sugar in, you're going to start to add in some evaporated milk just a little bit at a time. Now, there are many different ways to mix this crunchy mitai. Some people use evaporated milk, some people use whole milk, and some people even use water. I do not like using water in any of my sweet recipes because I think that the sweets end up being not as rich as they could be. So I prefer to use milk. So I'm using evaporated because that's what I have on hand at home. But if you have whole milk, then feel free to use that. And when you're mixing it in, make sure you're using cold milk because the cold milk is going to make it nice and crispy as it fries. So I'm going to continue adding this milk in until I get a very stiff dough. You don't want this dough to be very wet or soft, because if it is, then the mitai won't get crispy in the oil. It'll stay very soft and rubbery almost. So I finished adding in all of my milk. I'm pretty happy with the amount of milk that's already in there. And as you guys can see, there's just a little bit of dried flour around the bowl. Basically what you want to do is keep on kneading this dough until all of that dried flour is incorporated and you scrape down all the sides of the bowl. You basically want to get one uniform stiff ball of dough, so this way you can work with in the end. I've been mixing in all of those little dried crumbles of flour that were at the bottom of the bowl, and I've been scraping down the sides of the bowl as well just to get this into one uniform ball. Now, as you guys can see, I've gone ahead and just kept pressing down on the dough and squeezing it versus folding it over onto itself. That's the way that I prefer to knead any type of dough. So I went ahead and allowed my dough to rest for about 10 to 15 minutes after I finished kneading it. You want to allow it to rest just a bit because since you kneaded it together and it's more of a stiff dough, you don't want to mess with those glutens that you formed. You want to allow them to rest a bit. So what you're basically going to do is split this dough into 3 equal balls. You could basically just do it as per how many batches you're going to have. So I'm going to have 3 batches here because I've split it into 3 balls. So basically what you're going to want to do is smoothen out these balls. You're going to roll it onto itself and then you're going to pinch together the sides. And this basically helps with having uniformity between the mitai. You won't have too many cracked edges and rough parts on the mitai. They'll be nice and smooth and uniform in the end. So I've gone ahead and I put a little bit of dried flour down on my board, and this is so this way the dough does not stick. And you want to use minimal dried flour because if you use too much, then what happens is that flour will end up sinking down into the hot oil as it fries, and it'll burn at the bottom, and it'll actually give the mitai a little bit of a burnt taste, and it also gives them little black specks all over the mitai because of that burnt flour. So that's something you don't want, so you want to make sure to use as minimal dried flour as possible. Basically what you're going to do now is roll this mitai out. I do mine to about 1/4 of an inch thick. You definitely don't want it too much thicker than that, or else the mitai will be hard to bite into as you're eating it. And you don't want it thinner, or else when you go to coat it in the sugar syrup, everything is going to break apart and not be stable at all. So just make sure you watch out and try to do it as I'm doing it in the video. You have to make sure it is thin, or else it will not get crispy. Once you've gone ahead and rolled out your dough to your desired thickness, you're going to go ahead and begin to cut it into that crunchy mitai shape, which are basically like sticks. So what I like to do is use a pizza cutter because I find that it gives a very uniform look to the mitai. I always appreciate the rustic look of crunchy mitai sometimes, where it's all craggly and has different looks and different shapes. However, I do like the uniform look as well. So I'm using my pizza cutter. I also find that it gives a more even cut, and it's just easier to maneuver around versus a knife. So basically what I'm going to go ahead and do is cut very thin strips, and some people like the strips to be super thin. Some also like them to be a little thicker. So do it as per your own preference. So I'm going to keep going this way, and then what I'm going to go ahead and do is cut it once crossways horizontally. And that's basically just to get them a little bit shorter because I don't want my mitai pieces to be this long. So once you do that, you're going to go ahead and preheat your oil, and you want to preheat it on a medium to medium high heat. You definitely don't want the oil too hot, and I'll explain why later. So my oil is on a medium heat, and as I said before, you want to make sure your heat is regulated and not too hot, because if it is too hot, then what's going to happen is it's going to start to bubble very rapidly, and those mitais are not going to cook properly. They will look brown on the outside and they'll look crispy. However, when you bite into it, they'll be chewy. And with crunchy mitai, you want a nice snap and you want a nice crunch throughout. So as you guys can see, when I dropped all of these in the oil, it's only bubbling slightly and they are not rising to the top very quick. That's exactly what you want. You're going to keep it regulated. My stove is on a medium heat, but your stove might need to be on a medium low heat or somewhere around there. You just have to regulate it for yourself. And basically you're going to fry these for about 5 to 6 minutes, or just until they are beautiful and golden brown on the outside and until there's not too many bubbles in the pot anymore. And I'll show you guys what that looks like as we cook them. So as the mitai are cooking, you want to make sure to keep on stirring them around in the pot, so this way they get an even browning on the surface of them. Now, this is what my mitai looks like when it's done cooking. As you guys can see, the bubbles are not as rapid as they were in the beginning. Usually as the mitai is frying up, there's a lot of bubbles around it and it's frying very rapidly. But now you see the bubbles start to slow down and there are not as many bubbles as there were before. That's your indication that they're done, and mine have been cooking for 6 minutes, but yours might take 5 minutes or yours might take 6 to 7 minutes. It totally depends on how big you cut them and the temperature of your oil. So I'm going to continue adding more mitai into my hot oil, and I'm going to keep frying all of my batches. Remember, we have some more batches to go ahead and roll up, cut, and fry, and I'm going to continue doing that and then show you the end product of the frying process, so this way we can go ahead and coat the mitai in that beautiful sugary syrup. So it's been about 6 minutes at this point, and I wanted to show you guys this is what the mitai looks like when it's ready to come out of the oil. As you guys can see, the bubbles are not as fast as they were when they were frying more in the beginning process, and there are less bubbles in around the mitai. Now, those are your indications that the mitai is done frying and they will be nice and crispy on the outside. So once you've gone ahead and finished frying all of your mitais, you're going to go ahead and set them aside and start working on the paag, or the sugar syrup that's going to coat them. This is that beautiful crispy crystallized sugar that's going to coat those mitais. So in my pot here, I've added in some sugar, I've also added in some water, and I'm going to go ahead and stir that up till it dissolves and boil it. So once your sugar syrup comes up to a rolling boil, you're going to go ahead and lower the heat to about a medium to medium low, depending on how high your stove is, and you're going to boil it down for about 8 to 10 minutes. That's usually my range, how long it takes. But if your stove is different or the sugar is different that you're using, then it might take longer or it might take less time. Basically what we're looking for is a little bit of crystallization around the side or the edges of the pot, and you'll also see that it gets very sticky and very bubbly on the top. Those are indications that the sugar is done. So I'm going to continue boiling it until it gets a little thicker, and I'll show you guys what it looks like when it's done. I've also gone ahead and added in a cinnamon stick into the sugar syrup. This is just to give it a nice added flavor. And by all means, if you had a piece of sliced ginger as well, you could put that in there too. I don't have any on hand, but if you did, go ahead and put it in. It gives a beautiful gingery flavor to the mitai. And a lot of you might be wondering whether I'm using brown sugar or not. I'm actually not using brown sugar. The reason why this sugar looks brown in the pot is because I'm using an organic cane sugar. It's the texture of regular white sugar, however, it's not as processed, and so I prefer to use this over white sugar. But I do not recommend using the brown sugar because it is harder for beginners to get it to that crystallized stage to go ahead and cook it down. And I also wanted to mention that I went in with some dried ground ginger just now, or ginger powder, because that's what I had on hand. But if you have the fresh ginger, you could add that in as well. So my sugar syrup is done boiling and I'm ready to coat my mitai. Again, the way you know that the sugar syrup is done boiling is that it has a little crystallization on one side of the pot. If you want to see how to, in detail, make the sugar syrup, I'll link one of my other mitai recipes up here and you'll see more of a step-by-step on how I did that. It'll be right up here in the right-hand corner. And basically when it's done, you're going to pour it over those golden brown and crispy mitais, and this is where you're going to get your little arm workout. You're going to keep on tossing this up until all of the mitais are coated with the sugar syrup and until that sugar syrup dries and gets crystallized all over. Now do not be discouraged if it doesn't start to crystallize right away. You're just going to have to keep on stirring, so this way over time it'll stick and adhere to the mitai and it'll get crystallized. I also recommend for this step to go ahead and use a very heavy bowl, so this way you can toss it up really well and evenly. And I also recommend that you use a metal spoon for this. The reason I say that is because when you use wooden spoons or plastic spoons, I find that it tends to break up the mitai and I cannot stand when my mitai ends up broken up too much. So these are the two things that I recommend for tossing it. And as you guys can see, I've only been tossing it for about 20 seconds now, and it started to crystallize all over the mitai. At some point, you're going to get sort of a big sticky ball of mitai, but you have to keep stirring and breaking them apart, and then you'll go ahead and get that beautiful crystallization all around. And that is it, guys. As you guys can see, within just about a minute after stirring it up with that sugar syrup, all of my mitais are beautifully coated with that sugar syrup all over. Now basically when they start to crystallize and they get dry, you're going to want to go ahead and toss and shake your bowl around just a little bit. The reason you want to do this is so this way you can break up any mitais that are stuck together, and so this way you can dust off any of that excess clumpy sugar that might be on it. This just gives for an even coating on the outside and it makes them look absolutely perfect. So before I end this video, you know I have to give you a close-up of these beautiful mitais. As you guys can see, that sugar syrup has coated it so evenly, they look beautiful, and I can attest to how crispy and just amazingly delicious they are. Now, being that we're all quarantined at home, this is the perfect time for you guys to go ahead and get in touch with your roots and try out some of these traditional recipes. I think this is one of those traditional mitai recipes that is so quick and so simple because we should have all of these ingredients at home already. It's just flour, some butter, some milk, as well as some simple spices that you may have on hand, and you can put this quick and easy dessert together. Now, I'm gonna go ahead, serve this, leave it in the bowl for my family to eat at their pleasure during the day. I think this is the perfect snack to go ahead and eat because it's comforting. It's something that you can go ahead and dip in your tea or your coffee, and I promise you guys will be satisfied. So if you enjoyed this video today, go ahead and give it a nice big thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you are not subscribed yet. Go ahead and click that little bell notification icon so you can be notified every time I post my newest videos. And of course, keep leaving your awesome comments down below. Please let me know how you guys are all faring with the virus going around and being stuck at home or going to work. I really would love to hear from all of you guys. And go ahead and let me know down below if you try this recipe out. Bye everyone.